Facebook group now. Pros, happy Thursday. Welcome to Pro Power Hour. This is something we do every single Thursday at the product training webinar. We do every Thursday at this time, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. We've been doing this for just about a year now, just over a year. Every week we take a section of Housecall Pro or a feature or a product, kind of give you a full overview, talk about the benefits of using it, give you a demo, answer your questions. We have a Help Center article with all of our past recordings, all of our past sessions. You can check those out. If you want to go back and watch anything, we've covered almost every part of the product. So if you have a question on a specific feature, I could probably point you in the right direction and get you a past video. We're grateful to be partnered with Phil, who's on our onboarding team, who's with us almost every week. And we're going to be talking about employee management today. We'll give you guys some tips, talk about some areas in HCP where you can just maximize how you're managing your employees. So we'll do a Q&A at the end. If anybody has any questions along the way, throw them in the chat. I'll be monitoring Facebook. And Phil, I'll pass it to you.
All right, sounds good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome if it's your first time. I'm Phil. I'm one of the onboarding specialists over here. So I've been spending a lot of time in the system over the last 4 years, watching it grow and making changes. And this has been a really good platform for us to really give you all a chance of what it kind of looks like and how we talk as we go through onboarding. So if you are on the Max and the Max Plus plan, you do get onboarding with your account. So this is kind of, if you're first time with us, this is kind of how it goes. We did do a session a little while back on office staff training where we kind of dissected every corner of the system for typically what office staff would be doing. Today, we're really going to kind of narrow down on some of the initial things that really involve your employees, dealing with your field technicians, how we do our communications between them in the office, things like that. Then also towards the end, we're going to highlight a couple of things that are new features, that are add-ons, and just kind of promoting these new things such as the advanced GPS tracking as well as payroll. So we'll kind of tease those a little bit. If you're interested in some of those, we'll talk about where you can go to get more information, self-enroll, or have your success advisor reach out to you. But enough of me with the intro here. Let's go ahead and get into, as usual, we'll have our little slide deck here with information. And then I will go ahead and show you all everything that we cover. So again, just kind of setting the agenda of what we're going to be talking about is really the first thing is employee permissions. Then we'll talk a little bit about the chat features within the inbox, talking about events, time tracking, and newly released Spanish mobile app. So I can show you all how to set that up on your phones. And as I mentioned, we'll highlight a couple of things that involve the advanced GPS as well as payroll. So first thing with employee permissions, I'm sure everybody has gone through this within the system. Whenever I do an intro call with a new pro, this is typically the first thing we cover in the first 10 minutes of that introduction. So I'll just give you kind of my feedback on how everything looks here. Actually, I'll go more in depth when I can zoom in on this a little bit more. So I'll just point out these 3 items that are just here. These are typical questions that I hear from pros on our intro calls, which is, can I have more than one dispatching and messaging POC? So as we go through our permissions, our 3 permissions are admin, office staff, and field technician. And within office staff and admins, want to double check. Yeah, and in admins is that you can have somebody set up for point of contact. I believe back in the day, this had more of a bigger role within the system. As of lately, I find it a little bit more of as a title. But what other things it can do is that if you are including using the online booking feature with your business, you can set up a specific setting within your online booking to have all of the inbound leads through your online booking go to your messaging POC. So that's one of the main functions within the system. And then the other one is really just kind of the main person for when customers respond to automated text messages, those go to the messaging point of contact. But as far as I've seen, also like all office staff and admins have access to the inbox. So Really, it's just kind of, again, more of a title, but those are the two main things that it does within the system. Next question is, can my field tech see the schedule for all other employees? I get this question all the time, and the answer is no. At this current time, and it's been for a while, is that a field technician can only look at their schedule. The idea there is we want them to focus on their work and not be worried about what other people are doing. So at this time, field technicians cannot see the schedule for other employees. Then there's also, how do I limit access to my employee pay details? So when it comes to job costing on a job, we've talked about job costing before. Again, I mentioned the employee staff training session that we've done a while back. But if you are going to be setting up job costing, there is, as the office staff, you'll be able to set up so your technicians can see their pay details. So with those pay details, it's really like the costs and the versus the revenue and the profit, that kind of information. So really, it's one setting that we can just turn that off. They won't be able to see it. Moving forward into the HCP inbox for the employees. Now, I'll show this again. I do not have the texting feature, so this is kind of a good way of kind of showing it. I'll zoom in a little bit here if I can. I guess not. But I'll show where we go to in the inbox. There's a specific tab for employees that allows you to text your employees from the computer or from the office or from your mobile device if you're a manager that's on the road or a CEO that's on the road, you'll still be able to reach your employees essentially through the Housecall Pro app. Another thing when it comes to keeping tabs on your employees is setting up events. Now, I always tell people when we are talking about events, when we get into our scheduling and dispatching module of the onboarding journey. So that's when I say events are best used for blocking off time on the schedule for somebody. So whether that is a meeting with Phil, has a doctor's appointment, taking a vacation, taking the day off, events is what you're going to want to use to block off that time on the schedule. Technicians can set up their own events. So if you want to have that conversation on how you all want to do it, so they're not just blocking themselves off for, multiple days at a time, it's a conversation you all can have, but I always tell everybody is using events is the best thing for this. Beyond personal time off, just with this pro tip, events can also be used to plan company-wide closures for holidays, vacation periods, ensuring that there's no confusion over the availability. It's another good call out here is that it prevents people from booking through the online booking tab, because if you are going through online booking, it's going to recognize that the whole calendar is blocked off for some type of object, whether that was a job, an estimate, but in this case, it would be an event. All right. Another thing that's crucial when it comes to keeping track of your employees is the time tracking. Now, we do have two different types of time tracking, so I always try to make this as clear as possible when I'm talking to pros about this. We have one type of time tracking that is specifically designed for if you do time cards. If you have people clock in at the beginning of the day, clock out at the end of the day, so that 8 to 5 or whatever it's going to be, that is one type of time tracking, and the picture on the right is showing what that looks like. I'll do a better example of what that looks like when I do the demo, but just want to point out that that's particularly for that. Now, the other time tracking that we have that is particularly for time tracking on a job. So when we get to a job site, we go ahead and hit the start button, and the ticker starts to go. We see that start button become a pause button, so we can pause the job if we need to for any reason, leave our notes, and we can always finish the job when when work is done too. So that's time tracking on the job, and then there's the time cards. I don't want to really start to mix people up, but I have worked with some people that prefer using the time card for their time tracking. If you want to do that, don't let me stop you. I just think that there's a method to the madness why there's two different types. So, but if you ever want to have that discussion with me, feel free to reach out for a support call and we'll set something up and we can have that talk all day. All right. moving forward, big announcement. The Spanish mobile app is finally here. We've had a lot of pros be asking for a Spanish version of the mobile app. So we did go ahead and finally released it. So a couple of things to point out is while much of the app will be in Spanish, some of the elements will remain in English, including statuses, alerts, and pro notifications. Additionally, user-generated content such as line items, job descriptions, price book materials and services, job types, tasks, notes, and checklists will remain in English unless manually set up in Spanish. Um, to get over to the Spanish app, your technician or yourself, whoever that's going to be, their mobile device just needs to have Spanish as their primary language within their general settings, and then they can open up the Housecall Pro app, which I will show in a minute here, and you'll see that the app for the most part is in Spanish, except for these things that were just called out that are still going to be in English. Um, So then the next thing is to talk a little bit about the GPS, advanced GPS tracking. Now, I've talked in the past about how every account comes with the basic GPS tracking, which is really when you're looking at a map and our technicians start hitting the buttons like on my way, start the job, finish the job. The little avatar basically moves over to wherever they hit that button from. And that's about what you get with the basic GPS tracking. But we do have the advanced GPS tracking, which is forced by Mojio. We partner with the company called Mojio, and the Force Fleet add-on that they or integration that we have with them essentially comes with a little device. So some of you may be familiar with this, but it's a little device that goes into the truck, into the van, and basically it allows yourself as well as the customers to get that Uber-like experience where the car is actually moving in real time. We can see them on the way to the job site. We can also see if that van or that truck is parked, how long it's been parked. It comes with a whole screen that comes with all these features that tell you everything about when it comes to just traveling to and from job sites. So a couple of other key features here that I probably didn't point out is reviewing the trip history, the driver behavior like harsh braking, speeding, idle time. So those are some of the things that I slightly mentioned. But also getting alerts for maintenance issues before they become costly problems and pairs easily with your existing vehicles. It just plug the Mojo device in and connect to your account. So I'll show you all where you can go ahead and get enrolled into that if you want to do it yourself. Otherwise, we can always set up a meeting with a success advisor that can give you more of a further demo of showing you the interface and everything that goes along with it. Same thing is here with the payroll. So for a while, and we still do have our integration with QuickBooks, but as we've grown as a company, we have decided that we wanted to go in a way to give everybody what we have pretty much told everybody what we're trying to accomplish. Keep everything under one hood. And one of the things we wanted to do was offer something similar to what QuickBooks has to offer that you can do through our system. And with that, that is the payroll addition to Housecall. So with that, you're able to pull hours directly from the time cards, which I talked about and we're gonna look at together, including travel, job time, and breaks for accurate payroll processing. Easily mark hours as paid or unpaid, add overtime, add entries when needed. Use built-in timesheet reports to review, adjust, and export payroll data by employee and time period, and connect time tracking and job data for better labor costs, reporting, and profitability insights. So down at the bottom here, we have some more information. So you can always set up a session anytime to get more information from a success advisor, or you can look at our past Power Hour session where we had somebody from the payroll team come in and go over all the ins and outs of what comes with payroll. And so with all of that, I'll go ahead and demo a couple of the things here that we talked about. So let's get into it. Let me move this over here. All right, the first thing we talked about was the employee permissions. So for permissions, we all know, and if you are new to the program, it's going to be up here in your account settings. And we're going to go to teams and permissions. So here are all of my team members. I'll just click on myself here. And for the permissions, they are right here in the left-hand side. And the first option is admin owner. Now, what I always tell everybody is, and I think it may be better if I maybe start from the bottom here with the field text, is that there's a hierarchy in terms of permissions. So a field tech only has the permissions that are listed below down here. And office staff has all of these permissions, but also has the same permissions as an office staff. We go up one more time. Admins have these permissions here, but they also have all of the same permissions that office staff and field tech have. So when people are always asking me, where do I want to put specific people in specific places? It really just depends on how much access you want to give them to the system. But let's start with field techs. With field techs here, a couple of these permissions are pretty straightforward. We'll just kind of go down the list. So adding and editing jobs, basically allowing them within the mobile app to start up a job from the truck or from the field, and being able to make any changes to any line items. It's typically what a lot of people have on. Delete and cancel jobs. I typically see that permission turned off for a lot of companies, but that's obviously at your discretion, but giving them the ability to delete or cancel any jobs. A big one that I see people go back and forth on is taking payments and seeing prices. I would assume that you would want them to take payments so that if you are somebody that's out in the field and a customer wants to pay with a credit card, they can go ahead and do the tap to pay or put it to the mobile card reader device. Same thing with that is allowing user to deposit checks with the mobile checking deposit. So that is a feature that came out, I want to say within the last year and a half. But yes, if you are given a check with the mobile Housecall Pro app, you'll be able to take a picture of that check and get it mobilely deposited into your account. I know some people are comfortable with that, some people aren't. Really, from what I've experienced with it, it's not like they're actually viewing your banking information. It's really just taking a picture of the check and uploading it. So that usually eases some people with allowing technicians to do this. See customer phone and email. Obviously, we would want that so that they're able to get in touch with the customer for any reason. Allow user to chat with customers. So that would be through the on the mobile app. There is the inbox, so they would be able to text the customer through the inbox. See and edit customer database. I typically see that turned off for a lot of field technicians, but if you want to have your field technician have the ability to be able to, put in a new customer that maybe they're talking to and selling a job on, you'll want to have that on so that they can add them to your customer base. Updating company account info. I typically see that turned off for a lot of technicians. We really don't want them doing much on the back end, really just focusing on their jobs. Online booking availability. So if you are using the online booking feature, it just basically allows that technician will be allowed to be booked, whether that is you are doing it round robin or I guess that's pretty much it. If they're the only person that's available on the calendar, we don't want them being booked for online booking. They're not going to get booked. Show text next job, and show text full schedule. I kind of say those two together because a lot of people they kind of have back-to-back functionality. So I have a lot of pros that have asked me why would we not want a tech to see their next job? Well, I've talked with a lot of pros that say, if my technician knows that what their next job is and they know that's an easy one, maybe they'll, speed up on this one to say that they spent more time on the easy job, something like that. So really it's just limiting our technicians to being able to see only the job that they are currently working on to prevent them from really seeing anything out in the future. But a lot of people do have that on, and with showing text full schedule, that's another thing where I've talked to some people where they don't feel comfortable with some of their technicians being able to see all of their jobs throughout the day and then kind of planning a route to kind of find ways to get a little bit of extra time on the company time. So that's there. You can always enable it or turn it off too. Editing message on invoice. So when we do our intro calls, I always point to within our company profile, you have the ability to leave a message on an invoice, an estimate, and a receipt. And also individually, before we send off a document, you can always leave a message on one of those documents. So if we want our technician to be able to have access to leave that message, we would just turn that off. I usually tell a lot of people to leave that on because that could be a good opportunity for a technician to leave any notes that aren't going to be listed as line items or anything they want to tell the customer because it shows up at the bottom of each document. Show home data. People get a little misled by that. What that means is it's not being able to look at like your account home data. It's actually so that when they go out, when they are assigned a job, there's actually a feature within our system that allows them to see on specific sites like how many bedrooms there are, how many bathrooms there are, what the square feet is, when it was built, like that kind of information. So it's actually talking about the job site data, I guess, is a way that we can describe it. And then one of those things that we were discussing earlier is seeing job costing margins. So if you don't want your technician to be able to see, what you paid for the part versus what you're charging for the part, we would go ahead and turn this off so that they wouldn't be able to see that information. Going up to office staff, for this, they have a little bit more being able to see stuff on the back end here. So being able to view and edit employee details, that's really being able to go into the account settings, being able to add employees, remove employees, things like that, and being able to view those pay details. Updating the company account info, so really just being able to go on the back end here, make any changes that need to be made, go build any reporting that needs to be built, things like that. Access to the marketing center campaigns, so if you want them to be able to um, create those text messages and those email campaigns and send them out to your customers, you would want to give them access to that. Access to the basic marketing campaigns. I mean, I think those two are eventually just going to turn into one. It's essentially the same thing. Um, so moving on to access reporting. So you can limit office staff from being able to go in and view any of the reports. So admins, if you want to take more control of those reports, you can always limit the office staff from doing so. Dispatching messaging point of contact. I already went over earlier on what this does. So again, only one person can be given this title. Allow user to chat with customers. So similarly, they would be able to chat with customers through the mobile app or through the computer using the inbox feature, which we're going to look at after this. See job costing margins. So again, being able to see what we paid for the part versus what we're charging the customer for the part. If you have your office staff, I've talked to a couple of companies where the office staff really writes up the estimates or writes up the invoice. So if they're pulling that information from your price book, they would not be able to see those job costing margins. Accessing the pipeline, that is only if you are an account that has the pipeline add-on feature. So you can limit a office staff member from being able to view the pipeline if you have it. And same thing with online booking availability, because maybe we have our project manager or maybe manager, our lead technician listed as an office staff member because we want to give them a couple more things to be able to do, being able to view a full schedule, things like that. So we also have that they can be booked for online booking availability. Then lastly is admin and owner. And as you can see, there's really only 3 spots, making you the POC, having you set up for online booking availability, and allowing you to be able to chat with customers because basically you have access to the rest of the system fully. So that's pretty much going through everything within the permissions. So let's take a look at the job inbox. So right up here for inbox, we have the ability to chat with our customers and we have the ability to chat with our employees. So with our employees here, as you can see, I can always reach out to a specific employee. Just they're all in my system, so all their telephone numbers are in here real easily, just like typing out a text message on your phone. Okay, just looking for it here on the phone. Okay. So, yep, that's how it went through. And as you can see, similarly, you can go through anybody else that is within the system. Now, the other thing when it comes to setting up the employees is going through the schedule and setting up those events that I was talking about. For those, it's pretty easy. If we go into like a week, depending on how you're looking at it, I'm gonna actually set it up for schedule view. That might be a little bit easier. So we're looking at today here, and let's say Luke over here is taking the day off. So I click and block off the entire day, start that event. Or actually, yeah, here, that'd probably be better as our note. Let's go TO. We could even put in a location. I'm sure Luke doesn't want us knowing where he's going on vacation, but we can put that in there if we need to. And that would be better used for like as we were saying with like parties or corporate events, things like that, so that that way we can put it on the schedule and anyone can view that event within their calendar and see where the location is. So that would be a better example of using an event for those corporate gatherings. Um, Now, the other thing we talked about was the time tracking. So I'll talk about both of them. First one I'm going to talk about is that time card. So the first thing for the time card is it's going to be up here in the apps. And there's the timesheet. So again, this is going to be for clocking in at the beginning of the day and clocking out at the end of the day. I'm going to go ahead and clock in just so we can see how that's going to look. All right, so I just clocked in on my phone, and on my phone I see the ticker going, so this will update whenever I hit pause or whenever I clock out, essentially. And when us as the office staff, we can go ahead and click on that particular coordinate, and we can see when that person clocked in, and also we can get a GPS location of where they specifically clocked in from. So it's really good if you want to be able to see where people are clocking in, if they're clocking in from the couch and they're supposed to be at the job site, that kind of thing. Um, so that's the part with clocking in and clocking out using the time card feature. Also with the time card feature is down below when we are setting up our hours, it's going to allow us to say, was this particular clock in and clock out, were these hours overtime, double overtime, or just regular hours? And that will start to build up down here. And when you need to do your payroll, you can always export this information. Now, the other type of time tracking, which we've gone over in the past, but we'll just run through a quick job one, and let's move that here. That's down here with the field tech status. So when we have our technicians say that they are on their way to the job site, they'll hit that button, and essentially the little timer here for time travel is going to start ticking. And that's going to keep going until they hit the start button once they get to the job site. Once they hit start, that is going to go ahead and start the clock over here. So that's going to keep going. As I mentioned before, that start button does become a pause button in the mobile app so that we can pause our job for any particular reason. And we also have the ability to hit finish when we're done with the job. Once that's set up, the little time will start to come into here. Typically, it works for longer hours. I know we're doing this a little quick just for sake of time, but we would be able to see that when they clock in on the jobs, I did it from the website here, but we would be able to see the notes that they leave behind when they hit start, when they hit pause, when they hit finish. But us in the office are also able to go up here to the edit button. And that way, if somebody, particularly people that are new to the system, forget to hit a button, we can go ahead and say, all right, it took you 30 minutes to get to the job site and you were there for 4 hours. And that's how the notes from the employee would look like when they're doing it on their side as well. So that's kind of an example there of being able to look at the two different types of time tracking. Now, with the time tracking, this is a payroll question I typically get a lot, is that once we get all of their hours on the job site, like we're a company that pays our technicians by their billable hours. So for that, we would want to be able to go up to our reports. And under our jobs report, there is time tracking by employee. So that way we can pull the report, we can set up our date range. So right now we're looking at the last 45 days, but say I wanted to do week to date. I don't know if I have a whole lot of information there. Yeah, I do. I got a little bit. All right. So over the last 7 days, I put 4 hours on my jobs. Half an hour has been spent traveling. So that job that we just did. So this is the report you're looking for if you're trying to do your payroll by billable hours. But most people that I've seen typically use the timesheet. All right. And then I'm going to quickly go ahead and share my mobile app just to show you all how to set up for the Spanish version of the app. Let's go. Okay, so here is my mobile app. As you can see, everything is in Spanish. So if you want to be able to test this for yourself, I do have an iPhone here. So I went to my settings, and there is a spot in settings for languages. So I'm going to switch over to English really quick. I didn't realize I was going to stop this sharing, but there we go. So where to find that is if you have an iPhone, I would assume this would be very similar for Android, is just going to your general settings, and there should be an option for languages. So I have English here at the top. If you want to help somebody switch it over to Spanish, or if you need to switch it over to Spanish yourself, you just go ahead and make Spanish your primary language. Oh, there we go. And there we go. Now we see the app is now in Spanish. So Feel free to share this with anybody. It's kind of a two-step process. So now everybody, if anybody needs assistance, please feel free to share this video with them on that. And then really to wrap things up for me is really just let's take a look at where you can get enrolled into GPS tracking as well as the payroll. So for GPS tracking, that is going to be up in the apps section, and that is going to also be in our app store. And we literally put it kind of front and center right here for you because it's one of our more popular add-ons. So when you go ahead to click right into there, you can add the vehicle trackers or request the dash cams. There's a couple of articles down here allowing you to contact Mojio if you want to talk to their customer service about anything. We also have some information about setting up the vehicle GPS tracking, a little bit of overview. And going through this, it should trigger a message to be sent to your success advisor. So if you need a demo or anything like that, we can always set you up with how that's going to look. But yeah, also in here, you see the pricing information. It's $20 a month per device. So each truck that you want to have it in, if you're going to have it in 4 trucks, it's going to be 4 devices. But new addition to it, because we used to just have the GPS trackers, is now we have those dash cams, which this day and age, I feel like almost every car should have a dash cam because there's some terrible drivers out there these days. So really, really useful. That is at $49 a month per device as well, so that way you can keep track of your drivers and whatever happens to the vehicle. Then for the payroll add-ons, for those, you can also for the dash cams, you can always reach out to our customer support here if you want more information or to get a demo before you actually start enrolling. I would recommend reaching out to them, seeing if they can get you in front of a demo. But also with payroll, um, want to remember, I think there's payroll integration here if you're using Gusto, but that's something different. Yeah, so it's going to be up here and it's going to be in your My Money section. It's going to be under the accounting. So getting started, if you are going to, I already clicked on this button. So this big button's in blue. If you click on it, it's going to trigger a message to be sent to our payroll team, and they will get a specialist in front of you to answer any questions, go over a demo with you, and explain how everything is going to work. So that is pretty much everything that we talked about within our slide deck. So let's take a look at some of your questions here. All right, I see a couple of these. Okay, I see one from Diane. Can you look into separating timesheet access from the access reporting permission, please? We can certainly take that feedback. We'll send it to the product managers as some feedback, but it's good call out. I don't really see too many questions in here, so I'm gonna, as usual, go through a couple that we had sent beforehand while you all kind of think of some questions on your side. So the first one from Timothy. Does anyone know what setting under employee permissions allows field text to view the job numbers? So I have here, that could really mean one of two things. It's going to either Timothy, you're talking about seeing the prices of your materials or the prices of your services, so your costs versus versus your price. So for that one, that's going to be taking payments and seeing prices. You would want that off, so then really all they just see is the line item, no prices involved. But if you are talking about the in-house numbers, like all of your revenue, all of your costs, all of your profit, that kind of stuff, that's going to be that job costing permission that I called out as we were going through all the permissions. Bridget, Our sales rep needs permission to see the pipeline and also to do mobile deposits, but we don't want them to have admin permissions. Is there a way to allow both pipeline and mobile check deposit? Unfortunately, Bridget, at this time, those are two distinct permissions for those particular tiers. Only the field technicians have the ability to do the mobile check deposits. Office staff are really the only ones that are able to see the pipeline as long as and admins too. So field techs cannot see the pipeline, but it's good feedback. We'll certainly bring it up. But as far as I know, there's a reason for it, and we haven't really thought of a need to get back to it. But again, good feedback. Can I have more than one dispatch messaging point of contact? As we've kind of discussed, nope, that can only be one person. Here's another one. How do I limit access to employee pay details? So really, admins only have access to the pay details. Office staff, you can enable or disable by view and edit employee pay details. I pointed that out when we were looking at the permissions on the office staff side. Can field techs see the schedule for all other employees? Nope, we've already addressed this. Field techs can only see their own schedules, and that is only if we give them permission to. Another one, how can I block my calendar when I need to go to a doctor's appointment or vacation? That's going to be those events that we talked about. Here's a question from Kyle. Is this a different app than the regular one, or is there a setting to switch this? I'm assuming you're talking about the Spanish app, Kyle. We kind of just went over how that's going to look. It is the same Housecall Pro app, so that is a good question. So whenever you are in the App Store, just to still type in Housecall Pro. It's going to be the blue app. Go ahead and click on that. Another question, how do I view clock in and clock out locations? We talked about that. That's going to be in the timesheet section of your account. And what are the requirements for the GPS tracking to work? Business hours must be set in the settings, and employees must have location service enabled for the HCP app and their mobile devices. And that's really all there is to it. So those are all the questions we had. Um, Looking here, see if any other questions came up. I don't see any. Chris, any come through on the other side?
Yeah, I've got a couple, I guess they're more like statements. I think one of these is feedback. One of these might be a question. Thomas, I see you're saying that you have former employees still showing on your list. You should be able to archive those employees. And then they won't show up on your main list anymore unless you go, Phil, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you can pull up like an archived list of employees. Is that right?
Yes, you can. You can, well, yeah, here, I'll show, if this is what you're talking about. So, um, within your employees, teams and permissions section, you can look at archived team members. So whenever a employee is removed from the system, we can always click in here. I don't really have anybody, so let's remove somebody then. The red team's pretty lazy, so all right. So then if I go to my archived, there's going to be red team. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and they will still show on, previous jobs and estimates that they were dispatched to, their notes and things like that will all still show up. As long as you've archived them, they will not have access to your company info, be able to see anything going forward.
Yep.
And then we had a comment from Eric on Facebook. He was saying, following up on the time card access, can you request some tracking on changes made to the punch in and out time, similar to how it shows up on job time tracking? I read that over a couple times, and the way I'm understanding it is you're asking for more transparency in the edits that are made to the punch in and punch out time. Eric, let me know if I'm on track here. Or Phil, if you have a different interpretation of that.
Yeah, that sounded like because the only thing we get to see in the timesheet, and I guess that's just kind of a good way to explain is like what is visible within the timesheet is that when they clock in and when they clock out, that's really about it when it comes to and that's not just on the job, that's on the time card essentially. So see now I've been clocked in for 17 minutes, and when I click on it, it's really just showing me that time that I was clocked in for, and me in the office, I can say, okay, those were regular hours overtime or double overtime. That's pretty much it when it comes to the time card time tracking.
Yeah, he just clarified here. He said if you change the punch in and out time, you never know it was changed. Which is good feedback. That is true. If it is changed, there's no record that it was changed to something else.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Yeah. I mean, you are right. This is good feedback. I'm just trying to think of why that would be needed. Because field technicians can't do it. They can't make that change. So that would have to be somebody in the office. And if you, that would be, I mean, it's a fair point. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it depends on your setup. And I know a lot of pros will have their office staff also clock in using the app, and then they also have access on the web to change that. So I could see that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then it looks like we have another question from Dawn. Is there any way to get the total hours to show on the timesheet when I export it to Excel?
Yes. So if you are using the timesheet, it's going to be down here. So when you do the export, you'll have total hours right down here.
All right. Any other questions, y'all? Well, I've got everybody. I'm going to promote a couple of events. We have our office hours every Friday. I say that every week. Everybody's welcome. It's at 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's for an hour. It's open networking. So come talk to other pros, talk shop, or connect with me, or Lauren or Jessica. Sometimes Chris Normanson is there. And then we've got a webinar next week on the tax bill that's still working its way through legislation. Just some things you might need to know should that pass. So if you're interested in that, I can get you the registration link. Adam on our accounting team and Morgan Knox, one of our coaches, is going to be presenting, answering your questions Tuesday at 11:30 Pacific. All right. I don't see any other questions coming through, so we'll call it from there. Pros, quick call out too on the help article where we have all of our recordings. We now have all of our future sessions, what the schedule is going to be. So if you're curious what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, it's posted there. I think next week we're going to be talking about automations. So kind of similar to what we did today. We just went over all the different uh, places in Housecall Pro where you can manage your employees.
How
Um,
about this? Today we showed you how to do all the manual stuff. Now, next week
yeah,
we're going to show you how to make
yeah.
the system do all the automatic stuff.
Yeah, good way to put it. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you, Phil. And thanks, pros. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.